Good morning, 8th grade. Happy Friday. We made it to Friday. TGIF, that stands for Thank Goodness It's Friday. And Friday is always a nice day to take a step back and view your work for the week and be proud of your accomplishments. So my goal today is to help you finalize your version of the Leonardo da Vinci portrait. So let's get started. I've got myself my number 2 pencil. I've got my large pink eraser, blending stump in spots. And today what I also grabbed was a nice shade of red. With regard to these Crayola markers, I grabbed 2 because you never know if one's going to kind of poop out on you. So I got my markers ready for a little bit of background coloring when we are done with some final details. Okay? Alright, so here we go. What I'd like to do to begin is let you know that I was looking at this piece from a bit of a distance, and you should always do that as an artist. View your piece from far away. Set it up, tape it to the wall, perhaps across the room, and give it a good look. And it'll help you judge your piece and gauge some inconsistencies or little imperfections. And it really helps you gain a new perspective. So one of the things I noticed when I had it across the room is I noticed that I should like to widen this mustache line and clear up some of these lines that I had put in the other day because they give the illusion of a narrowed chin, whereas I want the bushiness and the fluffiness of his mustache to be a little more noticeable. So as you can tell, what I did here was I brought down a more definitive mustache line here, and I'm bringing it under his nose, and in order to give it some more volume, if you will, I'm going to erase some more of the inner lines that we had placed there along our artistic journey. And I think this will allow us to view his mustache with, like I said, a little more volume and fluffiness. Okay, and you're going to notice throughout the lesson today that I may continue adding some more of these lines which indicate mustache hair or beard hair or head hair. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of go within these larger areas and put in a few more curvy lines that will represent some of the midtones that we often talk about in class. We've got the midtones, we've got the lowlights, and we've got the lighter areas known as highlights. And I'm starting to like how this is coming together. We're reaching our final destination, which is a nice polished, finished piece. I'm glad you were able to learn some things factual information about Leonardo this week as well. And don't let me stop you from doing even more research on the artist. You can do your own investigations, your own internet searches. There was a wonderful made-for-TV movie on the life of Leonardo, and it's my guess that it was made in the early 1970s, before you guys were around, but I was certainly on the scene. And it was a 4, maybe 5-part series on his life, and you can find it on YouTube, I believe. And there's lots of neat scenes about his life and times. I'm gonna see that dark mark there. I'm gonna lighten that up a little bit too. Okay, now let me redefine the edge of that stash. Redefine the edge of his nose. And I'm gonna just kind of hop around here for a little bit. Don't be afraid to angle your page to your comfort level. You can always go back and redefine any lines that have been smudged away and you would like them to appear sharper or more distinctive. It's a fun thing to do. And I think it's kind of neat to see how this piece has evolved through the days. And I oftentimes take progress shots on my phone of my work. And that's another good way of noticing any little imperfections or areas that you would like to clean up or expand upon. And there's just so many wonderful little tricks that you can pick up along your artistic journey, and I certainly have picked up a lot from my teachers through the years, art and otherwise. And I think that's what we teachers do. I put a little shadowing above the eye there. And I think that's what we teachers do. We just pass on knowledge that was handed down to us. And I think we feel a responsibility or an urge to move that information along. And some of you will probably pass down what you know, whether you become a teacher or not. Okay, another little thing that I noticed as I got away from my work was this eye here kind of bothered me a little bit. It almost looked disproportional to that eye in a way. Now, I've said this before, we artists are our own worst critics, and we are hardest on ourselves, but, you know, I just want to let you know that it's okay to go back and fix things. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to skinny this eye up just a little bit at the bottom. Just move that interior eyelid up just a smidgen. Just close that eye up just a hair. It's not going to be so much different than it was before, but it may make me feel a little more satisfied with my little drawing here. And incidentally, people often say to me, what's your favorite piece? Do you have a piece of art that you're 100% satisfied with? And lots of times I say, I don't know, because I'm still learning and I'm still evolving. And there's probably not a piece that I'm 100% satisfied with. There are many in my studio that I like, but I'm always striving to get better and to learn more and more. One of Leonardo's contemporaries and rivals, if you will, was Michelangelo. And Michelangelo lived to be an older man than Leonardo. Leonardo died when he was 67. Michelangelo made it to his late 80s, which is incredible because Michelangelo did so much heavy-duty work with sculpture, not only mining the marble and performing the arduous task of getting that marble to his studio, but then forming and shaping it with hammer and chisel. And he spent 4 years painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. There's legends of him laying on his back, but more than likely he was probably scrunched down or hunched over while he was working on that ceiling, and they say it permanently damaged his eyesight. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is to live to his late 80s the way he was able to do after putting so much wear and tear onto his body. It was just remarkable. And he was quoted in his late 80s as saying, very simply, "I'm still learning." And they say he sculpted right up until a week or so before he actually died. So these artists were incredible people. Alright, I could fiddle with this all day, and who knows, I may come back to it even after the video is done or some other later point in time, but I'm going to encourage you to color in the background if you have the ability, because I think some color in the background will really make the face pop. So here I am, very carefully going around the edge of my portrait with my bright red marker, and you can use whatever color you like. You can use whatever medium is available to you. If you have markers, great. Colored pencils will do just fine. Crayons are an excellent go-to. Can't remember if it was you guys for the 7th graders or both that I had mentioned to try and color in the same direction. So I'm actually rotating my page as I move around my piece to keep, let's go to this other marker so I don't put too much wear and tear on one, to keep my lines uniform and basically heading in the same direction, which is around my portrait. Here we are, coming down the home stretch. And there's a great deal of satisfaction when you reach the end of a piece, though I don't know if I've ever, as I mentioned before, finished one to my satisfaction, nor do I know if I've ever put enough time into any one of my pieces in particular. It's hard to say. Lots of times the client will want the art piece at a particular point in time and a deadline is established, so lots of times you just got to surrender before you feel like you're 100% done. But it's something we artists learn to live with, and that's a part of the deal of being creative people. Okay, so I wish you guys a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being such awesome listeners and good workers. And I want to remind you that your piece is due to be posted by the end of the day today, 3 o'clock. And I will look forward to your wonderful renditions of the master artist, Leonardo. And I hope you learned a lot this week, and I look forward to teaching you even more next week and in the weeks to follow. All right, boys and girls, happy drawing. Have a great weekend. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.